guys, it's Proud Cat Lover, and pardon me if I don't turn on my room light, but it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning, and the crested geckos are just now starting to be active. My corn snake Raj is actually roaming around in his tank, and I just tried looking in there at him with my flashlight, and he got scared back into his hide. So I'm deciding that I'm going to do this with just the heat lamp on up there for my centipede, or my millipede, and then my fish tank light over there that's running for Sunset, my beta. So there's enough light in here that you can kind of see me. And I didn't want to, like I said, turn on the light and disturb all of my pets, because every single one of my animals, except for my cats, which Rose is right here rubbing her head against my phone, every single animal I have except for my cats is nocturnal. So, except for my praying mantis. My praying mantis is active mainly during the day, not so much at night. So, but everything else, and of course the fish is active all times of the day. Until the lights go out in his tank, he is swimming around. Once the lights go off, then he will go and he'll sleep in a corner or wherever he's comfortable. This is literally what she does all the time. She is hilarious. I'll sit here and I'll pet her, and you can hear her purring probably. And she is hilarious. She loves to talk, right, Rose? Right, baby? Hmm? Yes. I'm sure that even if I asked her, she'd probably give me a kissy. Will you give Mama a kissy? Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. You're so sweet. So yeah, she's the mama's girl of the two, because of course Blossom over there, I hope you can see him. Yep, you can see him. He's right here. So Blossom's more of the independent, I don't care about you cat. Rose is more of the I love you, mommy, give me all your attention. Right, baby? She is hilarious. So anyway, guys, the main reason I'm making this video, I'm sorry that it took me 2 minutes to get to that, is I just wanted to visit about, because it's kind of getting into the tax year, and if it's not the tax year for you and you're a kid, then it's getting to the past Christmas part of the year, where you have decided that you want to get a new pet. And, of course, I have also fallen into that trap. Except I, of course, am an adult and I have a job. Some children do not have jobs, obviously, because you're a child. You better not have a job. There's child labor laws out there. I mean, unless you're working for your grandparents and mowing the lawn or something, that's no big deal. But I'm talking about, obviously, having a job. But, you've fallen into the trap where you're like, I want to get another animal. And so, of course, I already have my beta fish here. And I've got the millipede that I got last year, but it was pretty much into this year because it was like the 11th or the 12th of December that I got my millipede. I can't remember. But I wrote it down. It's about as far as it got. I wrote it down and made a video, so that's how I keep track of when I get my animals. Pretty much is either I write it down, which I always normally write it down, and then I also make a video, so it's kind of, YouTube I use not only to make videos for people to enjoy watching, but also as personal records. So, but anyway, you've fallen into the trap and you decide, I want to get another animal. Well, what I can definitely say, speaking from experience, is before you ever get that animal that you want to get, and here I'm talking about what she does, I get to talking, and she thinks she needs to interrupt, is one thing I definitely want to stress above all else, when you're considering or thinking about getting a new pet, you need to think of 3 things. First thing, do you have room for this animal once it's an adult, if you're getting a baby? Do you have room for this animal if it's an adult? That's one important thing. Number 2 is, can you afford to feed this animal long term? Not thinking of, oh, I have enough money right now. I'm talking about the rest of its life. Can you afford to feed this animal, house this animal, provide the care for this animal if it has to go to the vet? Can you afford it, and do you have room for it? There's the 2. Number 3 is, can you take care of it properly? Do not get an animal, and I know this sounds annoying. Oh, hold on. Okay, so my brother's in the bathroom, and you guys know how I feel about videoing when people can hear me. I am paranoid because I'm afraid they're just going to come in here and be like, what are you doing? I'll be like, making a video. But anyway, when you are considering, like I was saying, getting a pet, you need to make sure you have enough room for it. Make sure you can have enough money on hand to care for it for the rest of its life, or at least know that you have steady income if you're an adult or a teenager and you have a job. Know that you have a steady income to be able to take care of the animal. And 3, of course, like I said, making sure that you have the proper care, or you are doing your research right now to know the proper care to care for the animal. Because if you're going to get it and you don't know how to care for it, then that's kind of stupid. I can say personally, I have done that, and I have felt terrible because my one pet that I got and did not do a lot of research on was my green anole, and I feel terrible that it ended up dying because it was sick and I did not realize it, and it died. And I'm not really sure. I think what I'm feeling like happened is it had a respiratory infection. Something was going on because its nose had gotten clogged up and it literally stopped breathing. So I made the really hard choice to put my dying anole into the kill jar that I use for my insects because I knew that it would kill it quickly and painlessly. So I felt awful because I did not realize it was sick until it was too late. Like I said, it had stopped breathing. It was having issues. It was opening its mouth and breathing out of its mouth. I felt awful, and at the time, I felt like because it had stopped breathing, after it had its mouth open and stuff, it had stopped breathing. It stopped moving, everything. I figured that it would be best just do that and not put it through any more stress. It had gone missing for 3 days because it escaped its cage. It hadn't eaten for 2 weeks, which I was trying to get it to eat crickets and everything, and I just don't know what the problem was. And my biggest issue was I had not done much research on green anoles. I just figured, oh, it's going to be an easy pet to take care of. I think this was 2 years ago or something. And I definitely learned my lesson. I have been doing so much reading on the pet that I'm going to be getting in March. I have a book on it. I've been reading. I'm in a group on Facebook that has breeders of this animal as well as owners of this animal. I've been asking them a bunch of questions. I'm doing a lot of research, and I am super paranoid now. Knowing that that happened in the past, that's what fuels me to make sure to care for the animals I have properly. And if they show any signs of anything, to get them to the vet, so it can be taken care of before something like that were to happen. I understand with a green anole, some people think it's easier just to let it die because a vet's really expensive for such a cheap pet. But I did care about that anole. I tried really hard to take care of it, and when that happened, to me, at that time, the best thing I could think of was to put it in the kill jar because I didn't want it to suffer anymore. And if I were to try to make an appointment like with Eclipse, she's going to be going to the vet this week. I called last week, and the soonest they could get me in that I was actually able to come in was Thursday. And it's Sunday right now. Well, actually, it's officially Monday because it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning. But I am still going to have to wait 3 days so I can take her. She's kind of really fat, and I'm not sure if she's got eggs in her or if she somehow has eaten any of her moss or something, because she's been hanging out in her moist hide a really long time lately. She's hardly in her hot hide, and she's always in her moist hide on the cool side of the tank. And her heat mat is only set at 91, which is, they say 87 to 94 or 95 or something like that is what it's supposed to be set on, so I just have it set to 91. And I have a second thermometer that's monitoring it to make sure it doesn't get any hotter than that. And so I'm not really sure what's going on, but she's going to be going to the vet. I will update you guys how that goes. I'm planning on getting an x-ray. I know that's probably going to be expensive, but I am going to be doing it because I want to make sure that she's okay, because if she's egg-bound or something, that needs to be taken care of right away, because that's life-threatening. So is impaction, of course. I just want to make sure that nothing's going on. If she actually is impacted, she's going to be getting switched. She's not going to be on Eco Earth anymore, if that's the thing. I don't think I've ever seen her eat Eco Earth, and I've never seen her eat her moss and her moist hide. But if she somehow is impacted, then she's going to just solid stuff. All my crested geckos are on paper towels, just because it's a lot easier to clean and everything, as well as I can monitor to make sure they're going to the bathroom. And with Eco Earth, it's kind of harder to see the droppings because they're brown. And also because with my females where they're breeding and stuff, I just figured it'd be easier to have them on paper towel. So Anyway, definitely important to do your research on the animal you want to get. Make sure you know proper housing, the proper decor and stuff you should have in there, the heating, the humidity. Does it need a light cycle during the day? Does it need to be in the dark? Can it be handled all the time? Stuff like that. Like, is it going to get stressed out from being handled? Is it more of a watch and admire pet, or is it a pet that will, allow to be handled? It's really important to consider these things as well as cost. Let's say if it's a snake, you're going to have to think about getting either live rodents, which I would not suggest. I mean, unless you're experienced. I personally prefer frozen thawed because you can keep a lot of them at one time because they're frozen. I mean, they've been pre-killed and then frozen, and you just thaw them and feed them, and they stay good for a long time in the freezer. And you can keep them on hand. Let's say if the electricity goes out or something. I mean, obviously you're going to lose those, but at the same time, I feel it's a lot safer feeding frozen because live mice, you only can leave them in there for like a minute or so. I mean, if you leave them in there longer, it's not a wise idea because the mouse or rat could harm the snake. And I've seen a lot of things, like I watch a show on TV called Dr. Pol, and it's on Nat Geo Wild. And I'm not going to say the channel because every person's probably different, but on Cox, it's 211, I think is the channel. But he had someone one time that brought in a ball python. I believe it was him. It was either him or this other one that I watch, and I can't remember the name of it at the moment. And the poor snake had just been chewn up to bits. And the poor thing had to have like laser therapy or whatever it's called. And they had to put bandages and some like antibiotic cream that was for the snake to heal. And oh my goodness, it looked terrible. And after I saw that, and of course I've heard stories too, I was like, I'm not feeding live mice because I just don't want to deal with it. And I had gerbils when I was younger. And I personally don't think I could feed a mouse off because that's just me. I've had gerbils. My family had gerbils when I was little. We had guinea pigs, and I understand guinea pigs are not going to be getting fed to a corn snake, but just the fact that I like rodents, and it doesn't bother me as much as if they're already dead, because I know that they aren't feeling any pain while they're being eaten and anything like that. My snake's not being harmed. The mouse has already been pre-killed humanely, because, I mean, there's some people probably that don't, but this was a trusted source company that's been selling them for a really long time, and I actually ordered them online because it was cheaper, because I could not find any suppliers in my area that were local breeders. And this one guy that I was getting them from, it was always like they were always dirty and stuff, and I didn't like that. But anyway, like I was saying, want to make sure you can afford to buy their food with Crested Geckos. It's just a powder food that you keep in the refrigerator. You always want to make sure it's a complete diet. I, of course, personally suggest Pangea, and I can put the link in the website down below in the description. There's also Repashy, that's a really popular one. Those are the two most popular ones that have complete diets with all the vitamins, minerals, nutrients. It's even got the first ingredients are fruit and insects, depending on which mix you get. Mine, of course, is fruit and insects. And then the babies get apricot and banana. But there are some that like peas and barley and weird crap like that is the first ingredient. It's like, it's really important to read, because the stuff like that is not as nutritional. It doesn't have as much protein and stuff in it. And your Crested Gecko most of the time is not going to eat it because it tastes disgusting. Do not even start me on those jelly pods because they are just full of sugar and there's no nutrients in there. So please don't feed your Crested Gecko jelly pods or any kind of crap like that. You can do fruits. You just want to make sure, do your research and make sure that none of them are toxic or poisonous to the Crested Gecko or whatever reptile you're feeding, because other reptiles can eat fruit. You just want to make sure that you, of course, know the proper care, like I was saying, the proper food. Like, join groups on Facebook. Get on YouTube and watch tons of videos, because not everyone's video is going to be correct care. They're just going to be telling you what they do that works for them, and sometimes it's incorrect, but I'm not going to be attacking people that do incorrect stuff, because I'm not going to waste my time. Most of the time those people are set in their ways and they do not want to change because they feel they're doing it correctly. And I've had people that I know personally in real life that I have worked with that are just like that. They tell me that they know how to take care of their animals. I had a guy that I used to work with at the greenhouse a long time ago, like almost 3 years ago. He had a red-eared slider in a 10-gallon tank, all sand. There was a dish that was about 6 inches wide with water in it. The water wasn't even clean. It was dirty because of the sand. And he told me that he knew the care. I don't know about red-eared sliders, but I know they are a aquatic turtle that requires a ledge to get out and bask under a UVB heating bulb, so because they need it for their shell. I know this much, and I know that they get a foot wide. I showed him a picture of an adult, and he tells me that it will be able to live in that 10-gallon tank for the rest of its life, and I told him they need mostly water and hardly any land, and he told me that he was a professional and that he didn't need my advice. That really hurt, because knowing that that turtle, its entire life is going to live on sand with a little tiny dish of water, just really affected me. So I highly caution you guys to be careful who you take advice from sometimes. Make sure that you've watched all their videos and see that they're housing their geckos properly, or whatever animal, their turtles, whatever it is you're getting. And of course, like I said at the very first, make sure you also can afford this animal. So, because that's very important, make sure you have enough room for it when it's adult. You don't want to go getting, let's say, a corn snake and get like a little 10-gallon tank, because they're going to require a 3 to 4 foot tank. Maybe even if you want to go all out, a 5-foot tank. But with Raja, depending on how big he gets as an adult, I might get him a bigger tank, but right now he's in a 3-foot tank. And this rack is long enough that I could get a 4-foot tank for him. I'm getting a custom tank built for Eclipse, and it's a vivarium that's made out of melamine, I think is the product that's called. And it has a built-in heat mat, a built-in LED light, and ventilation and stuff, everything. And the guy is going to be treating it with an animal safe, like waterproof deal, so if like water or anything spills in there, it won't damage the product. Not the product, but it won't damage the material. And I'm thinking about getting Raja one if I end up liking the quality of the one I got for Eclipse. And they also have sliding front doors, which is really nice. The entire tank is solid material aside from the front, so there's enough privacy for the animal around all the other sides. And because it's nice being able to custom order stuff from people that actually build it out of their homes, and it's a lot easier, especially cost-wise, because it's a lot cheaper. It wasn't super cheap because I ordered 2 tanks from this person, one for Eclipse and one for the new animal. And so it wasn't super cheap, but both tanks were around $150 a piece, and that's really cheap when you consider that it's being custom built, so it's probably going to be pretty good quality, especially because I've seen this person's work at the reptile expos before. But he does pretty good quality work, and I've gotten on his website and looked at all of his stuff. I've read a lot of reviews from people on Facebook that got on his page and said how they really like the product. I'm going to be picking it up locally, and he normally is in Nebraska, so it's nice that I'm going to be able to go to the reptile show and pick them up, and I'm not going to have them shipped and possibly damaged. So, but I'm really looking forward to it. And Raja's tank over there, that glass Exoterra tank, which I'm probably going to be selling if I ever get him a custom built one, cost me $200. And it was just a glass tank. So the fact that I was able to get Eclipse's tank and the other animal's tank for $150 for each of those, and that has a heat mat, it has lights, it has ventilation in it, and it has glass sliding doors. For only $150, that is cheap. And it's custom built, so it's going to be better quality than if you were to just go out and buy a vivarium at a pet store or whatever. Obviously, I do like glass tanks, but when it comes to holding heat and moisture, apparently vivariums are a lot better choice, and I was not aware of that, so that's why I've definitely been considering getting Raja a custom-built vivarium if I like these 2 ones that I have yet to pick up, of course, because the guy's still building them. It's not going to be till March till I get the vivariums picked up and until I get my new pet, which is a surprise. But yeah, I've definitely got enough room on there if I wanted to get him a 4-foot long tank. I've been considering it a lot only because I like this tank and all, but it's really heavy. That's the main thing that I don't really like about it. And if I want to do any maintenance to the tank, it's kind of difficult getting behind it because it's so heavy to move. And so I really hope that these vivariums aren't too heavy. So that's my only concern. But, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end this here. I just really wanted to be able to visit with you guys and kind of just let you know how I feel about new animals and stuff, because taxes is coming along for me, and so I'm definitely going to be considering getting a GoPro, because I've been for the longest time thinking about doing a series on the channel where I actually go out in the summer, or most probably going to be in the summer just because spring there's not really a lot of insects out there, and just kind of do a series of videos where I go out into the field with the GoPro on, so you guys can be like you're almost there pretty much. And I'm going to be showing my best techniques that I have for collecting insects, catching them without damaging them, areas that are best to search for certain insects, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And so I'm also going to be using my GoPro when I do tutorials on pinning insects, different ways of like preparing them for, let's say, 4-H or whatever, or if you're just wanting them to be displayed and looking like they're still alive. I definitely want to be able to use that GoPro for a lot of stuff, because obviously it's going to be expensive, so I want to get its money's worth out of it. But I'm also going to be using some of that money to go towards, of course, the new animal. It's not going to be super expensive, but I definitely don't want to spend more than $150 to $175 on this new animal, because I understand some pets are expensive, but I don't want to spend a lot of money on this animal. I don't know. I have a weird thing that I don't like spending over $150. Like, I spent $150 on Magma, my male crested gecko, and I feel like that's as high as I'm willing to go. But if they have an amazing one of this pet that I want to get, I would be willing to go to $175. But I'm hoping, because I'm going to be going the last day of the Reptile Expo, that most of the time they're willing to barter. Not barter, I guess, but willing to negotiate the price down even a little bit would help. So, and they're wanting to move their animals just because it's the last day and they don't want to take as much back with them and all that stuff. But yeah, like I said at the very first, you want to make sure you have enough room for this new pet if you're getting it. Make sure you've done your research, you know the ins and outs of this animal, and you're fully prepared. Even get the tank ready in advance. That would be even better. And number 3, make sure that you can afford to take care of this animal in the long run, not just this year or this month or, you know, stuff like that. So, a lot to consider, but when you go to decide that you're going to get this animal, you've done your research, you have the tank set up, you have the money in a savings account or set aside for any emergency vet visits, any food that you need to purchase, any decor, anything, bedding. Just enjoy that new pet. If you're all set, you've done all the research and stuff, enjoy that new animal because you've worked hard for it. And, you know, life's too short not to enjoy stuff. And I understand that to an extent, you don't want to just blow all of your money on animals. You want to be able to save up because, like, you might need new clothes, or you might have to pay a bill or something. But life is too short for you not to enjoy a little bit of your money. And if I were to die tomorrow, at least I have gotten to enjoy these animals and stuff, and they've really taught me so much. And so have people, of course. But just learning so much and being able to share that with people like you guys, it's just awesome. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm really sorry this video is almost 25 minutes long, but I feel like I really want to touch on this subject because there's so many people going out to get new pets, and I've seen a lot of it, or they already might have that pet. And I feel like sometimes you don't think about the stuff that I just talked about, you know, thinking about, do you have the space? And obviously I'm kind of cramped, but I'm really hoping that either this year, like the middle or to the end of this year, to make that step towards getting a house, which would be amazing. I have not even considered going to college because I want to buy my own house. This is the goal. And I understand that it's going to be really expensive because I've been looking into it. and there's a lot of fees that you have to pay. Now, of course, it's different per state, but there's probably going to be around a good $2,000 that I'll have to pay out of pocket for all these fees, and of course, there's house insurance and stuff, and the monthly payment for a loan, more a home loan and stuff. But I figured in my head that it'd be a lot cheaper paying a monthly home loan payment than paying monthly to rent somewhere, because what I estimated is I'd be paying around $300 a month if I were to buy a house that was in my price range, which that's kind of course, a little personal, so I'm not going to say that. But the amount, anyway. But I'd be paying around $300 a month or so for if I were to buy a house between my range. Not like at the low end or the high end, just in the middle. And so I figured that's a lot cheaper because most houses where I live in, most houses in the town I live in, is between, if you want a nice one, it's between $450 to $600 a month. And there's an additional pay for everywhere if I have animals. Now, it said mainly cats. It said, there was this one place I saw that said that small animals can be kept there without you having to pay. So I'm assuming reptiles and fish would count. But some places wanted a person to either pay $50 a month per cat, and I have 3 cats. That's quite a bit of extra money. And some places wanted a like $200 not deductible, but a $200 payment along with your monthly payment for your animals. And it's just, it would be so much cheaper just to buy a house and pay it off over time instead of just putting all that money toward renting a house and then still having to buy a house. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this because I know I need to stop talking. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed hanging out tonight and just visiting about animals, kind of, and life and all that fun stuff. So anyway, thank you guys for watching and have a good evening.